My fellow sons and daughters of Sigmar, welcome to the showdown between the Empire, who shall be led by Volkmar the Grim, rocking that mighty powerful mustache. And today, my friends, we face off against the Warriors of Chaos, who shall be led by King of the Dead and Kolek Suneater, the eternal foes of the Empire, come to Angui to try and take out Volkmar the Grim. Now, as far as my army goes, the first thing you guys are probably zooming in on here is going to be the War Wagon. So the War Wagon, I don't want to, act like it's a good unit. It's not. It's not a great unit, but if it does have an application, I think against Chaos it's okay, because oftentimes Chaos against Empire does come in with a ton of Marauders and, heavily armored big targets. So sometimes you'll see Manticore characters like these Exalted Heroes. You'll see Kolek, Archeon. And, the War Wagon does have the same firing type as Outriders, so they are AP long rifles. So they can do some okay damage and, has 90 armor, so like Hounds and things like that won't do a ton of work against it. And really, I just wanted to give it a try and see if bringing like one War Wagon as like a Ghetto Chariot / Outrider hybrid unit could do a job here. So we'll see. In the front line, we're going very elite because if you do go Volkmar, I really do like to bring elite troops because Great Swords, one of the things about them is, their baseline combat stats aren't super high, 33 and 31, and that is with one Chevron. So it's actually 32 and 30, I think. But with Volkmar's Grand Hammer of Sigmar and the Shield of Faith going on them and their bonus force infantry in conjunction with their AP, they actually do a pretty good job cutting through a lot of the Chaos troops. Now, like I said, the Chaos meta for a long time, and I think it's kind of changing, but was to go Marauders and go super wide with like cheap infantry and swarm the gun lines of the Empire. So occasionally coming in with like greatsword like rushes like this can be very punishing. So 3 greatswords in total, 2 handgunners in the back. And I do think Outriders might be probably a little bit safer because, the Hell Cannon pick, for example, here is actually going to be doing a ton of damage against my Silver Bullets and other troops like that. But, handgunners pack some punch. Pretty good, straight arcs of fire, fast speed, and they hit really hard against armor. So I'm going to be trying out 2 of those guys right now. Now, Empire Knights as well. Empire Knights are not going to be able to go toe-to-toe with Dragon Ogres and Chaos Warriors, but what they do is they hold things in place. They're a really good roadblock unit, and actually, I like to use Empire Knights as a bit of a defensive unit to sweep my back lines, keep Hounds away, and I know King of the Dead should be the king of the hounds because he pretty much always brings 4 or 5 hounds no matter what faction he's playing to harass your lines. So having a couple Empire Knights to screen them I think is quite solid. Jade Wizard, Volkmar the Grim, and we do also have a couple spears. And normally I wouldn't bring a Jade Wizard with Volkmar because he does heal himself, but in this case I think having the Jade Wizard to heal the Demogryph Knights that I did bring, I brought the Royal Outlaw Gryphites plus the Great Swords was 100% worth it. And of course the Wagon. I mean, come on, that Wagon needs some healing. Now for King, he's got a couple Chaos Warhounds. He does, I think in total have 5 of them. That is a ton of micro. And the front line's pretty elite actually, so he has a decent front line against me. Great Swords, Marauders, Mirror Guard. He does also have a Manticore plus an Exalted Hero. Kolek, I mean, he's got the tools to kill Volkmar for sure. Kolek can certainly put some poundage on him. A Shadowcaster and a Hell Cannon. I mean, honestly, it's a really good army. And the Hell Cannon is a great pick against Great Swords and also against Handgunners. But thankfully for me, the Hell Cannon shots right out of the gates here haven't been too good. Most of them honestly missed. I think there's been 3 and like they might have clipped the edge of something, but that is about to change very, very quickly because those Hell Cannons, just like Chaos, are unpredictable. So one comes in right here, just basically almost one-shots my unit, not one-shots, but takes him down to half health, which is pretty nasty. The War Wagons are, rolling dirty, and honestly have gotten a couple of these Hounds down, which is quite nice. So very happy with that situation. And the Empire Knights over here on the far side are going to be able to catch some Warhounds, it looks like, coming in for a fully couched charge. And yeah, they should be able to dismantle those Hounds pretty quickly if they get caught in combat. Granted, I think King will be able to pull them back before anything really bad happens. So one group of my handgunners is offline, so if King does have some doggos back here, and it looks like he does, he could swarm them and take them out, but it looks like he's trying to roam around this way. But so far, the Empire Knights have done a really good job taking out the Warhounds, and I'm not sure why he sent the Warhounds in, maybe just trying to distract them while he dives in here. Nonetheless, the Exalted Hero does charge in, as does the other one on the wagon. The Royal Outlaw Gryphites, the backbone of the Empire, charge in and intercept these foul heretics, and are certainly going to be putting some heavy hurt on the Chaos Feral Manticores. On that same note, Kolek Suneater is going to be coming in. We do drop a banishment in the back to halt the advance of these Chaos Warriors, and the Great Swords are pulling back because I knew I was going to be able to win this fight with, Great Swords in there and all the AoE buffs of Volkmar, the Grand Hammer of Sigmar, but this is going to be a nice play from King. It looks like a pendulum coming down, which is going to hit my Great Swords pretty damn hard, but still we do win that fight for sure. Both Manticores took a ton of damage. We took a little bit of work on our Great Swords, but nothing, terribly destructive. Hell Cannon still raining some good fire, but in the back, we are able to get some Chaos Knights around his defenses, and now it's going to be a reckoning, not Chaos Knights, but Empire Knights. And these brave Sons of Sigmar are going to be charging into the Hell Cannon, and those Chaos Dwarves are going to get dumpstered for sure. Not that, Empire Knights have crazy DPS or anything, but those Chaos Dwarf crews are very, very weak. Now in the center mass, the Manticore is broken. Kolek's coming back in, but the Silver Bullets have formed ranks, and the Spears of Sigmar are going to be getting behind the Silver Bullets and should be able to defend. But guys, let's focus on the truly important thing here in this battle, the War Wagons, which are buffed up by the Hammer of Sigmar. These guys are looking for blood. Unfortunately, my Great Swords do get terror routed, but they should be coming back in, and the Royal Outlaw Gryphites were able to put a ton of hurt on Kolek in tandem with the firepower of the Silver Bullets. So here comes another Pendulum effect. It looks like Pendulum going down the pipes. It does hit my Empire Knights relatively well. But for the most part, this is why Empire Knights are so good. They can tank all day. They're very cheap, and they have 110 armor. You're really just paying for that armor value. And unfortunately for me, guys, it's looking a little bit scary, though I am ahead on the Bounce of Power. Kolek could certainly put a huge hurt on Volkmar, but the Shield of Faith holds firm. And Volkmar is going to be rolling back on his cart. In the meantime, King trying to get his hounds behind me, but I do have spears and cav pretty much everywhere. And the mighty wagons are going to be coming in and running over some of these chaos-afflicted beasts. So here they come. Manticore coming in as well. Could potentially cause some tear outs, but wagons are pretty tanky. They don't go down terribly quick. I think 3.5k HP in total. The Exalted Hero charging in, but the Griffites are nearby and should be able to intercept. And the Jade Wizard is knocked over before he can do any of his witchcraft. Now, the Hell Cannon wasn't completely finished off, so if King is paying attention here, he might actually be able to get his crew back on. Although, I don't know if 2 crew members are enough. So it looks like he has abandoned it, and the Empire Knight should be able to come in and clean up here. Now, Bounce of Power is actually ebbing back towards the middle a little bit. Things are getting a little bit hog wild, as now the Empire and the Manticore and the Exalted Hero are getting in there, and I'm actually starting to lose a lot of my Royal Altdorf Griffites. But fear not, we still have a wagon. We have Kolek in here as well with standard eye pop. Does not look like he has any fancy items. And the Chaos Warriors were able to break through my front line finally, and the Silver Bullets are now stuck in melee combat, which is a little bit scary. But Great Swords are doing pretty well in kills. I mean, 93 on these bad boys. I think the other Great Swords who've been fighting in the center have even more, but it is hard to tell. In the back, 25 Empire Knights, again, cleaning up the Scurvy Dog pressure, and it's pretty much the same thing as like how High Elf players will use Illyrian Reavers as kind of a sweeper unit to make sure that these like harass units don't get their back line. It's the same exact thing. But the dogs do get on the Silver Bullets once again. Kolek, though, is just being rammed so ferociously by Volkmar the Grim. The War Altar doing so much damage, but it looks like Kolek is finally broken. -4. The Griffites still going strong. Regrowths and Earthbloods have really kept these guys incredibly sustainable. And Chaos is looking like they're on the ropes for sure. Granted, a huge victory for Chaos here as they do break the War Wagon, but the War Wagon is merely terrified. They will be back. And I wonder if they keep shooting while they're terrified. Doesn't look like they do. They're lining up those rifles, but they will be back in a second. They'll start shooting, and as far as kills, I mean, they do have 14 kills. I was kind of using the War Wagon as a bit of a chariot this game, and it wasn't doing a terrible job. It costs $850, so it's a little bit more expensive than Outriders, but also a little bit more tanky and independent, as it has good mass and can push through, but I still think Outriders are obviously a much better pick. A banishment going down from Volkmar the Grim, banishing these foul heretics as the brave Knights of Sigmar charge in and lance down these Chaos Warriors. And you can see the Disciples of Slaanesh, and I don't know what the mark of these other Chaos Warriors is, but they flee for the hills. The Wrath of Volkmar is complete. So, as far as the game goes, I honestly thought King's army was really good. I thought that he had some pretty good answers against my stuff. I think a little bit heavy on the hounds. I think you could probably cut 2 of those Warhounds and then replace them with like more infantry. Kolek is a decent choice against Empire. Against Volkmar and Franz and characters like that, he can certainly do pretty well. But yeah, it's a weird thing. The Chaos Warriors actually didn't do that well. Because it seems like, if you look at the army on paper, right, his Hell Cannon is great against my Greatswords. I think, and this is something he mentioned after the game, I think he should have stayed back. Like, because he pushed up to meet me in combat, and if his Hell Cannon could have shot for a while longer and he defended it longer, that eventually could have hammered like all my Greatswords out for sure. The other Manticore, I would probably go a little bit lighter on the Manticores for sure. I mean, they're good, but I think getting something like the Summoners of Rage is really nice for beating down Empire Knights, beating down Greatswords, and also fighting the Royal Altdorf Griffites. But I did like his build. I think it had some teeth for sure. I think he needed to delay the engagement. And also there were a couple situations in which the Exalted Heroes and the Manticores went into very reckless engagements and took a ton of damage from units where he could have kept harassing and using his Hell Cannon. And obviously, when the Empire Knights got on the Hell Cannon in the back, they kind of hid in the trees for a while, and it seemed like he had forgotten about them, but I'm not sure. But the Hell Cannon going down was a pretty big boon for sure, because that really did wreck my Greatswords and my Handgunners. You can see my Handgunners, I mean, 0 and 2 kills. Most of the kills did come from this one Greatsword, this one Empire Knight, as well as Volkmar the Grim just doing so much damage. I mean, Volkmar is such a good character. I've been playing with him more and more lately. I've often thought that Karl Franz is by far the best character, but I'm starting to feel like Volkmar is a little bit of a better character. I mean, I don't know, not better, but he's just so damn tough to kill. Like, even when you think you have an answer for him, he just like doesn't go down, and he's good at fighting like infantry and like everything. I don't know, Volkmar's just a monster. Anyways, we'll play to King, and now we'll go and look at a Chaos build. And also, just for the record, guys, King mentioned he doesn't really play Chaos much, so he's learning the faction. So now we're going to jump over and go and look at a Chaos build that I would perhaps think about doing. So Chaos against Empire. You have to respect the gun line, you have to respect the cannon, so having a couple base hounds I think is really good. Kolek isn't a bad choice for sure. I mean, he can fight Franz, he can fight a lot of the big boys. I do often like Sartorial quite a bit. He's, pretty good missile resist, he causes terror, he has good mass, so he's durable against a lot of the common threats of the Empire. Now you can go for Final Transmutation, but I do really like Plague of Rust and Searing Doom. I think both abilities are very, very strong. Transmutation of Lead as well. You can mix that in case you have like big blob fights. Now on the front line, there's a couple schools of thought. You can go with Marauders and try and like win with like chariots and other things like that, or you can go with the Chaos Warrior front line and go very heavy metal. But really, the Chaos Chariots are incredibly solid. These two for 750 are a steal. But you need something to keep the Empire Knights busy. I do think Summoners of Rage are a pretty good choice against like Empire, heavy cap and things like that. A couple Poison Warhounds is always good. Probably won't need more than 2, to be honest. But again, you can go with more, but it does okay. Mirror Guard aren't bad. If they do come with like a Greatsword Rush like that, you're going to need some infantry quality. So you can start going with like some Chaos Warriors, a couple of them, and then, or you can go with Marauders and then just get like more other, monstrous threats. Let's work on the Skirmishing Corps first. So Marauder Horsemasters are a pretty good answer against a lot of the Empire Skirmishers. Also getting that steady focus fire from them can be really good against Empire Heavy Cav. Throwing Axes aren't bad. Plague of Rust is pretty good, but then you're having to use a lot of Winds of Magic. I'm curious about the Plague of Rust. Or if going with like a character like Archaon for the Burning Head is like better. Archaon's certainly not bad here, but he can be sniped, whereas Big Bird is like a big terror-causing beastie. I think bringing a couple Throwing Axes would be very good, but the Marauder Horsemen honestly do a really solid job as well. But Greatswords will lose to the Throwing Axes. Yeah, Throwing Axes are pretty good. You certainly need something to contest the open field. Get some Chaos Knights too. Some Chaos Knights here, and then, yeah, just get like some baseline Marauders. Because like the Greatswords will be kited and run down by the Marauder Horsemen plus the Chariots. I think that's pretty good. You can win the mobile fight, hopefully, by using the Marauder Horsemen, Chaos Knights, and Summoners of Rage. You have swarming elements with Chaos Warhounds, and Warp Chicken can just slam into the front line and start causing a lot of disruption. Hell Cannon pick can be okay, but if they do go with Outriders or things like that, I don't know. I do actually kind of like the Hell Cannon pick. King certainly inspired me with that. So maybe you just bring like single Hell Cannon like this and force them to advance on you. And as they advance, you're like harrying them with the Marauder Horsemen. Yeah, maybe we just go one less Hound. I don't know. I feel like an army like this could be pretty good. It's been a while since I played this matchup. The meta has changed so much. This is like one way that I used to play this matchup with the Marauder Horsemen and these other tools like this. And from here, I mean, you could even just like, upgrade one of these troops here. I don't really know. You can mix in some like great weapons or something. You get like 2 great weapons here just to fight the great swords a little bit better. So something like this could work for sure. Another way that's kind of a little bit more old school is you could just go for like a swarming build. So you could use like Archaon on his horse. And Fireball is okay for sniping artillery pieces. Burning Head and Flaming Sword are both very good. Slayer of Kings is always nice. Immunity to Psychology against Empire isn't like super important. But this is like more of a kind of a aggressive build. So you use a couple Chaos Warriors, you Flaming Sword of Ruin, use Burning Head on the front line. A couple Chariots will punch in behind your Chaos Warriors. And then from here, you can probably get a couple Marauder Horsemen with Throwing Axes as well to kind of keep the enemy lords honest. A couple Hounds. And then you probably need something to actually fight these. So we can cut 1 Chaos Warrior, get Summoners of Rage. You get 2 Hound units. So something like this is like a little bit more aggressive, right? Just headstrong, charging with Chaos Warriors, charge up the pipe with Chaos Chariots, and then occupy them on the flanks with the Horsemen, plus you Summoners of Range and Hounds and things like that. And it can work for sure. I think a build like this could be quite strong. So guys, thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the game, plus the post-game breakdown. We'll see you with more replays relatively soon.